Goodbye, Aquaman. You had your time. You had one hit movie, made a lot of money. Not going to be the same for this one. So we have the numbers. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom opens to $80 million overseas. Wonka surpasses $250 million globally. So Aquaman did pretty good at the international box office. And with the American numbers, it's going to have somewhat of a nice 4-day weekend. However, this will be the only weekend it makes numbers because it's going to flop into the ground domestically because it's looking like it actually only made about $38 million. And without the domestic to kind of give it some legs, it's done. So when we get all of the numbers in for international and complete domestic, which it's actually going to be about $38 million. The $40 million is from yesterday. This is actually an article from yesterday, December 25th. But they're estimating. I think the final numbers were actually 38. So not a very good domestic outing for Aquaman 2. It made about $80 million internationally. It's not going to be enough to save this movie because, like I said, next weekend, I don't expect this movie to have legs. So, Aquaman 2, a disastrous ending for the DC extended universe. The worldwide opening, as of right now, unless they change it, is at $120 million. And you might say, yeah, it's pretty good. There's actually a decent number. However, it's not going to go into the next couple of weeks. And the domestic number is just too low. I would say that domestic number, being as low as it is probably a reflection to a certain woman that was cast into the movie I would say in a combination with the things that James Gunn has said really did kill this movie at the domestic box office. The international, it looks good, but just consider the fact that this movie is going to have a similar fate to a lot of the other comic book movies that had okay first weekends, namely Ant-Man. Ant-Man had a decent... That's what's funny. If this is Ant-Man, they'd be praising this. Remember Ant-Man had a great opening weekend, and then it fell off a cliff? That's what's going to happen to Aquaman and Lost Kingdom, which will not even come close to breaking even, by the way. Because like I said, this movie will need to have legs, and the reception for this movie isn't good enough for it to have legs. If you go and look over at the reception it's getting on Metacritic, for example, only based on 80 user ratings, it's sitting at a 4.3, and that's not a good word of mouth. Not good enough to carry this movie. Doesn't get any better over at Rotten Tomatoes. They're doing that normal bullshit where they try to boost up a movie, but you can get the real picture if you go and click on all audience. It's actually at 67% compared to the verified 79%. This movie's fucked. It's not going to have a good audience rating, and, they deserve it. It's not going to have a good box office, and this audience rating is not going to help it. And like I just said, they deserve it for what they did, for bringing back Heard, their greatest sin, and James Gunn calling the DC universe dead and all these movies don't matter. It's my movies that matter. This movie is nothing. Go see it anyway. Like, what did they expect was going to happen? So Aquaman 2 will not make any money. In fact, it's going to lose money. And, oh well. Even though I like Jason Momoa, I think he's an all right guy from what I've seen, but he'll be fine. He will be just fine. Like I said before, He'll even be fine in the comic book community because he's going to go back and play Lobo, even though he's claiming, yeah, well, they've never called me. Yeah, okay. All right. We know damn well you're going to be playing Lobo. It's all distraction because they haven't officially announced it yet. So that's what's going on with the box office, at least Aquaman box office. What's really crazy to me is what Warner did with its own movies in general. They released 3 movies at the same time, within the same kind of little time frame. Wonka, Aquaman, and The Color Purple all got released within like a 2-week period. Like, why are you competing with yourself at that kind of level? I'll never understand why studios do this. Disney does it all the time as well. I don't have Color Purple numbers. I hear it did okay. Like, it had a nice boost from the Christmas opening because I believe it opened on Christmas. Whether or not it's a successful movie or not, I don't know. But Wonka will probably make a little bit of money. I think the word of mouth for that movie is carrying it. And I talked about this in my video where it looked like it was going to die at the box office. At least that's what people were predicting. But everyone had the same kind of take on it. You know, if it has a good word of mouth, it'll be okay. And it looks like it's going to have good word of mouth, at least enough where it will likely break even. Now, The Color Purple could end up making a little bit of money, $18 million on Christmas. This movie actually pulled in some money over the Christmas holiday opening that it had. And if anything, that just hurts Wonka and Aquaman. Why? Why would you release all of these movies on top of each other? I just don't get it. And then you look and you see shit like this. Christmas box office down 7% from 2022. Aquaman 2, 40 million. Wonka 28 million. Ferrari and Boys in the Boat launch previews Monday update. Ferrari I actually want to watch. That's a movie that I actually want to go to the theaters and see, by the way. And that's because it's a car movie. I love racing movies, so natural movie that I would want to go see. Whether or not it'll do good in the theaters is anyone's guess. But that's what's going on. Another bad weekend for Hollywood. The box office records keep decreasing every year this year. Like every holiday, like big opening this year has been really underwhelming. And I think things are going to get worse for Hollywood. This is what happens when you let a bunch of activists come in and take over your shit. Now you are paying for it. Meanwhile, Japan brings in all kinds of stuff. They don't really have this problem yet. And the numbers are through the roof. Satisfaction from audiences through the roof. Isn't that something? And then you see articles about how they want to get into the gold mine that is Japanese content. The American entertainment industry is in a lot of shit. No longer will it be the biggest export that we have. I think Korea, Japan, they're going to take a lot of that dead market and make it theirs. They are going to have a renaissance, I think, a golden age of worldwide content. And then, whether or not activists get in over there, we'll see. But that is down the road. Anyway, that's where we're at. Hollywood had a bad weekend. Aquaman had a bad weekend. Amber Heard had an awful weekend. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. What are your thoughts on the industry? What are your thoughts on Aquaman? What are your thoughts on Japanese entertainment taking over? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you would, please like, subscribe, share the video. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hit that notification bell. Check out my Rumble and Locals, and I will see you on the next one. Peace. Make sure to check out my Locals. There's a link in the description. It's a fun community that I'm trying to build over here. If you don't want to support me on YouTube, you can come over here. None of that money goes to YouTube. You also can just come over here for free. But if you are a supporter over here, I do plan on doing an extra live stream once a month and throwing links to the supporters so you can actually come on and have a supporter live stream with me. Also, it's a good place to catch all of my content. You don't have to worry about notifications like YouTube. They'll definitely work over here. So come check out my locals.